As the setting sun slips away and the darkness settles in, the shadows will entice you to dance, but I will invite you down a rabbit hole with me. An hour of the unusual, the unexplained, and dare I say it, the unimaginable. I am eager to begin, so I hope all your doors are locked, shades are pulled, and lights are off, because it's time to get spooky. Hey, it is a great night to be streaming, everybody. Hello and welcome to Swatch Squad live from Madison, Wisconsin on July 17th, 2021 at 6:02 p.m. I'm your host. My name is Sandra. If this is your first visit here, we take these topics seriously, so please respect that. If you cannot behave yourself in the chat, you'll be booted. Please respect one another. If you can't do that in the chat, you will be booted. Shout outs to my sons, Rosendo and Jojo, and any other family that may be watching. Ricky, tcake, Hat, Brett, Bonnie, Sean Bierbrower, Charles Green. Please subscribe to the Jimmy Dore Show and check out Hard Lens Media. Make sure to visit the gift shop. I got some cool shit in there. I really do. And if you're feeling generous, there's a PayPal link in the box down below. We appreciate all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Show Me Your Pick and Halenville Live, Mr. Fruitcake Tony, tcake. What's up?
What's up?
How's the weather?
Ooh, it's been rough here the past hour. Internet,
Yeah, I know.
on and off, but I'm here for the moment. Hope it lasts. Hope everything's moving on. But yeah, good. How you doing?
I am exhausted, but I'm here. Been working on tractors all day for the last few days. Actually, the last few weeks. So yeah.
Amazing how you go on vacation and you come back more tired.
Oh yeah,
You get back than before you left.
Yeah, tractor shows are a lot of work, but they're worth it. They really are. We had a change in plans last minute with the show. The chat may not know it, but Blacktooth Fox has canceled due to health reasons, so we wish him well. We hope you get better soon. If you're watching, please take care of yourself. That's the important thing. I will reschedule. So we have a surprise guest waiting backstage. But first, we're going to see who's in our chat because we owe you some thanks, and tcake may have some shout-outs.
Dwight Bailey is in the house. Hey, dude. Sean Bierbrower.
Hey, Sean.
The original Paramutant.
Hey,
always good to see you. Lenny, Lou, and Mary. Hello, ladies.
There's 10 watching. So.
All right. If you're watching, say hello. Nice to see you.
There is an active poll going on in the chat. If you do believe in extraterrestrial life, or even if you don't, or you're not sure, make sure to hit up that poll. I'm going to end it here shortly. And you yourself can help keep the chat informed by hitting Nighbot Commands. All of those are in the description as well. Without further ado, Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as a demon guitarist, Brian Spalding.
Hey,
Aloha! Aloha, brother. So good to see you. This is cool already.
I just figured I'd play your theme music instead.
Very cool.
There you go.
Yeah, that
Sweet.
is all right. How have you been?
Oh, pretty good. Been busy, but been doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Yes.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, how you doing, Tony?
Good, man. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to finally meet you.
Yeah,
In
dude.
virtual person.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like we know each other already.
Right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I enjoy your show and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome, dude. Good to see you.
Yeah, let me just say that I am a believer.
Yes. Me too. Me too. And you've got a couple of stories. You have one dealing with ETs or perhaps UFOs and a paranormal story. And I have a few questions. We'll get to those afterward because you live on Oahu. And
Sure.
I know that there's a lot of Hawaiian traditions as far as dealing with supernatural and things like that. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit later on. But whenever you're ready, whatever you want to do, man, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah.
Jeff K. Nice to see you, dude.
Hey, folks in the chat. Good to see you, Dwight, Lenny, Jeff K, the original Paramutant. Good to see everybody in the chat. I have a good time, hanging out and talking with folks in the chat. All good people.
Yes.
But yeah, let me get to my story. So
Yeah.
the thing about my story is that what I really like about it is that I actually had somebody with me that saw what I saw. So that's a good thing.
That's a good
Yes.
thing.
Um, if you've got a witness with you, then you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
I do have a graphic here I want to pull up real quick. This is sightings by state. And if you take a look at Hawaii and then look at the chart over on the side, you'll see it is one of the states that has the most sightings reported. So keeping
Wow,
that in
I
mind.
didn't
Yeah,
even know
that's
that.
yeah. Apparently your state is one of the highest. Wisconsin's kind of in there in the middle, and North Carolina is it's blue, so it's down there with the least. But yeah, Hawaii is right up there among the most. So
So where'd you get that graphic from? I like the way the
I just pulled it off of Google. I wanted to bring up actually kind of a map like this I pulled
Right.
up for Blacktooth Fox. This is the UK, and all the light areas are all areas that have had sightings. And as you can see, that island is just plastered with them. And then I
Wow.
pulled up this graphic because I couldn't find one like the one you just saw, and I figured, well, this is kind of interesting. So
I like the way the UFO, the sightings word, where the text is like flying up into the.
yeah,
That's cool.
I guess down
Flying
at the
up into
bottom you can go to
flying saucer.
satellite internet, probably .com and find this. But yeah, I just pulled up UFO sightings in the U.S. on Google, and it was one of them that came up. So
Right.
yeah,
So anyway, yeah. My story is it's like when it happened, it was really short. It was like within a minute, the whole event happened. But
does that
this is the
bother
way.
you to be? Does that bother you to be highlighted?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
So this is back in, I believe it was somewhere around 83 or 1984.
Okay.
Um, my band would rehearse at this rehearsal studio, which was actually converted from an office building, and it was just a one-level place, and it had a little parking lot in the near where the entrance of the studios. So I'm just kind of trying to set the setting. Um, so one evening after rehearsal, and we always rehearse like for about 5 hours until like about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so one evening, uh, the band had already left, and it was just myself and our vocalist Angelo. And so we were in the parking lot, locking the door and getting my gear back into the car in the trunk. And so we're outside talking about rehearsal, and then so we happened to sit on the back trunk of the car, and we were sitting on the back and then leaning on the rear window and looking up to the sky and just talking about our jam session. And then off to the left in our field of vision, this light, this bright light just came and shot over from like out of nowhere and then stopped like right maybe about 30 degrees off to the left of us.
Huh.
And it stopped, and it was a bright kind of blue light, and it paused and it moved across the sky just for briefly, just for a slow movement like that. And then it just shot all the way across to the end of the horizon, right out of view. And when it went away, it was actually a larger, bright dot at first, and then it got tinier and tinier. But that action of the dot shooting across the horizon, it was like a second. And when I was with Angelo and we were sitting there going, we looked at each other and what did we just look at? What was that? What did we just see? And
Yeah,
we were like amazed. Uh, the first thing that came to my mind is that we don't have any kind of nobody has technology that can whatever the craft is that can shoot you
Yeah,
from
that's
jettison you
incredible, dude.
from
yeah,
one flat plane out over, and it shot out at a 45-degree angle and then went over into the horizon and just disappeared. It was amazing, and I'll never forget it.
What
right.
year is this, Brian?
Around 1984.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it was just awesome that he was there to see it with me. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah,
good thing.
that is insane.
so that's my UFO story there.
And yeah, that's before it could have been a drone. That's before. Um, it's not a helicopter because there's
Right.
not helicopters that can do that.
No.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to see a strange light in the sky and wonder, but to have it move slow and then immediately
Just take
at
off,
unheard
right?
of speed, right? That to see those things with the sighting, that's
Right.
that's compelling. That's awesome, dude.
And the action, I tell you exactly how it was. It was like, just watch my hand. It would be like, boom. That's how
Wow.
quick. That's how
so if
quick
you
the
if you
event
had
took.
to, if you had to guess like how many miles per hour, how fast would you say it was going?
Um, my guess would be 10,000 miles an hour. I don't know. Something that'll
How
take
how
an
how
object.
big
Yeah,
was how big was this light in the sky?
It had to have been, I would say, it had to have been a mile up because it wasn't really that big. Like if I were to put my hand out and look at it and try to measure it like that, it was about that size. It was still kind of big to me, I think, because it was pretty bright. It was
yeah.
pretty noticeable. But the thing is, when it went away off to the right, it, the size of it changed, right? It got tinier and just disappeared.
Did it
Oh,
stay the same color?
Um, I couldn't say because it was so fast. It was just off in a
it got
flash.
Jeff
tiny.
K, Jeff
Wow.
K is asking you, was the blue light like a circular dot or more like a beam?
It was a glowing dot, to put it that way, a glowing dot. It was almost like one of the stars in the sky, but different. Because the
Yeah, if
stars
it
in the
were a
sky, kind of glimmer, right?
They do.
They
I
oscillate, I
mean,
think, sort of. And I don't know if
meteors.
that's because of the atmosphere affecting that, but this one didn't. It was like just like It's like
Yeah, you
solid.
can't put it on anything else based on the speeds. No, I mean, an object out of the sky, a meteor, whatever, is not going to stop and pause and then move slow and then
Right.
dart a million miles an.
Yeah, and
No.
then shoot off. So
Yeah.
that's my UFO story. So the only paranormal story I have involved the same person, uh, my buddy Angelo.
Uh-oh.
In 1987 we
If you're
moved the
watching, hi, Angela.
yeah in 1987 we moved the band to Los Angeles and we did a lot of gigging over there. But a friend of ours got us some temporary housing at this apartment, and it's on the cross streets of Whitsett and Victory. So I don't know if anybody in the chats lives in LA, but Victory is kind of a popular thoroughfare in the valley, uh, in Hollywood. North Hollywood is where we were. But anyway,
Okay.
uh, yeah. So we had temporary housing. A friend got us this little apartment in the corner of the complex. And, it was just someplace that we were going to be there for a couple of months till we found our own places and got out of there. So when we first moved over there, already initially it felt weird. It felt like a strange feeling in that place. We had friends come over sometimes to hang out, and then they would say the same thing.
Just weird energy.
What do you mean
Yeah.
a
Wow.
strange? What do you mean
Um,
by that, Brian?
okay, so this is going to sound weird to you, but
Not at all.
it felt like it was almost as if it was walking into a forest. Put it that way. That's how
Like
weird it was. It's like
dense.
you
Oh,
go in this apartment and it feels like you're walking into a forest. That's the
wow.
feeling I had.
Huh.
But the one major incident that happened, there are other little things that happened in there that I couldn't really put my finger on or happened to other people. Just a weird vibe. And in fact, when we had a get together once, uh, uh, we took a picture of a friend of ours. And when we got the picture back, there was this white thing in the back behind her that had like tentacles that came like off of her back,
Oh,
and there was little sparkly dots
that might be an
in a
attachment.
mix with it. But we never paid any attention to it at the time.
Wow.
But the one major incident that
Yeah,
happened,
Forgotten Shadows is asking if do you still have that picture?
we do. It's somewhere at my place in California, so I'll have to have my wife find it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd love to
And
see
then,
it.
yeah. Anyway, so
Shadows.
one night, so we didn't
Okay.
have any furniture in the place when we first moved in. We were just, I had a sleeping bag on the floor, and my buddy, his girlfriend brought him a, one of those flat futons.
Yep.
Um, and so he was sleeping at the other corner. And so the way it looked was like there's a big living room with a sliding door, and there's a way to get to the kitchen and another way to get to the restroom. That was it. Didn't have any bedrooms, just a studio.
Okay.
And so both he and I were asleep. It was like really early in the morning. I would have to guess it was like 2 o'clock, somewhere around that range. We're both dead asleep, and I always lock all the doors and the windows. Um, so we're sleeping, and we heard this really loud bang. It was like this, like a not like a boom kind of bang, just like a like a clang or something hitting the wall or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we both popped up and looked at each other. We're like, "What the hell is that?"
Right.
And then we got up and looked in the bathroom. Nothing wrong there, and we thought somebody broke in through the window
Oh,
in the bathroom. So
so it
we go to
was
the
that
bath.
loud.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
wow.
go to the bathroom. Nothing's
Huh.
wrong there. We go to the kitchen and check this out. The en- the one of the drawers, the entire drawer, it was out, flipped over, and on the floor, and all the silverware was thrown on the floor. And the
Damn.
kitchen
Get
window was
out.
locked. The door was locked. Everything was locked. So, And that drawer, I'll tell you that apartment was kind of old, so that drawer was difficult to pull open.
Sure.
You had to
Did you
work at
hear?
it.
Did you hear footsteps, or do you remember hearing anything else before the bang that you're aware of?
No, didn't
Did
hear
the did
anything.
the
Well,
atmosphere in the house get more foresty, or did you feel did the atmosphere or the vibe or the energy change before this happened, or right around the same time?
because it was so alarming, and because I was like thinking somebody got into the place, I was on alert mode, so my body wasn't like detecting anything else other than that. But
Forgotten Shadows is asking if you were armed at this point, considering
no,
that you
Forgotten
assumed it was
Shadows, Charles Green, Nelson Rodriguez. Hello, guys.
yeah, we were
AMAC.
not armed. But we both went into the kitchen, looked at it, and all the silverware and stuff was on the floor, and the drawer. It wasn't like pulled out and then dropped face. I mean, it wasn't pulled out and dropped bottom down with the silverware sitting on inside of it. It was actually flipped over.
flipped over, upside
Yeah,
down.
upside down, and all the
Yeah.
silverware was tossed on the floor.
Holy.
What did
Yeah,
you guys? What did you
we fr-
guys
we
say to
freaked
each
out.
other at that point?
We freaked out. I didn't even touch the stuff on the floor at first. It's like,
Right?
Time to go.
Right?
yeah,
I suppose, yeah. I would be a little leery about going in there right away.
and then
Very, very
eventually
timidly. Oh,
Eventually, we cleaned up, and I had to stand there and wash all the utensils.
right.
But yeah, that was the one actual physical experience that that we actually had something like that happen. And
Now,
even if I got even so, what I did is you pick the drawer up, and I tried to jam it into the get it into the. It was hard to even shove it into that
Damn.
the space.
now, considering that happened there, did you ever research the history of the place or ask anybody, hey, do you know anything about this place? I think it might be haunted, or you just didn't tell it. And but did you say anything to anybody?
No, we just got the
No.
hell out of there. Yeah, because we were out of there. We were out of there within a week. It was only meant to be temporary anyway.
So Jeff K is asking if the drawer was on an outside wall, could have been a mouse, maybe.
Oh, not
Mice.
that drawer. The drawer
Yeah.
was too difficult to pull,
Yeah.
and it was on the outside wall.
Oh,
The other side of the wall was actually there was no neighbors or anything. On the other side of the wall was just a brick wall. And then after the brick wall was the what do you call it? The service way, for
okay,
the trash trucks to come and pick up the trash.
sure, like an alley.
Yeah, an alley.
Yeah.
Brian, you spoke about other stuff happening there, littler stuff. Stuff like what?
Yeah, no. So that happened to my wife. So like she said that she felt something weird, like somebody was watching her. And
Ooh.
because I remember one
Yeah,
evening
that's never good.
I had her over there, um, and I think I stepped out to the car to go get something, and then I came back to the apartment, and then she told me immediately. She said she didn't like the place, and
Wow.
so yeah, and so that was one. Um, my Angela's girlfriend said she felt something weird over there, like when she would go to the shower to get ready and stuff. She felt like somebody was watching.
That usually means that something or somebody is watching. You
Right,
don't get those feelings for no reason. So they say
right,
when,
right.
when you
Yeah.
feel like there's eyes on you, because usually because there's eyes on you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
that would be a creepy feeling.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't blame your wife.
right.
Not one bit.
And so yeah, we were out of there, and then nothing else ever happened after that.
And that house that you're in right now, that house is okay,
Oh yeah, this house is it's great.
ghost free.
Yeah, people like coming over here. They like coming here, and then as soon as they get in this place, people start falling asleep. I don't know why, but it's very soothing and relaxing here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep. Comfort. If you're comfortable enough to nap, that says a lot about a place. It's home.
Now,
Yeah.
I will say, I know you were going to ask me about certain things that happen here in Hawaii.
Um, yeah, I want to ask you because I've heard that banyan trees, what are their relation to like the supernatural? Do they hold spirits or good spirits, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about banyan trees
Okay.
here.
There's like
What's the story?
legends with them that they're supposed to be somehow tied to the supernatural. And then my other question was, being that you are on Oahu, if you could tell us about the fire warriors,
Fire warriors? I'm not sure what fire warriors would
the
be,
the,
but
the
I do
ghost, the
know,
ghost of the warriors.
I do know about the night walkers.
Yes, tell us about the Nightwalkers.
So my mom had and her family had the experience of the night walkers several
That's cool.
times.
Wow.
Uh, Back in the 40s, wait, she was born in 1945. So from the 40s to the 50s, she lived at home. Everybody, she had, she was one of seven in the family,
Okay.
and they had all kinds of things happen there. Um,
Like what?
the Nightwalkers thing was one of them. I remember, sometimes the family would get together and we'd be sitting in the parlor and trading stories. And so this is a story that they've told several times before.
Okay.
And the
Cool.
great thing about the story is that all the family members were there, and each person had a different viewpoint of the phenomenon that they were looking at.
Oh, that's neat.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom would start off the story, and then my
Okay.
aunt would take over and start telling about it. So basically, what would happen sometimes
Okay.
is that on certain nights, and I'm not too sure what kind of night it would be, uh, on their street, a strange mist would start to appear like a fog. It would happen in the street, and then you could see figures walking inside the mist. And whenever they would show up, and the kids were little. I mean, my mom and her sisters and brothers, they were maybe like 10 years old, something like that. And
Hmm.
so they would say, "Daddy, Daddy, the people outside, the people outside." And then my grandpa was they're pretty religious people, and so he would like give the command to the kids that he didn't want them to look, especially not to look into their eyes.
Oh,
Um, I think it
wow.
was the fear that you would end up as part of that troop of warriors that are walking the night.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, they actually seen that, and my grandfather would tell them to get inside the house and stay away from that. Don't look into their eyes.
That's
And
incredible.
there was other instances where my I guess you could say my great aunt, she had passed away, and this is when my mom and her brother and sister still lived in that house. Uh, she passed away. Let's see, if I can paint the picture correctly. Yeah, so what happened was she had passed away, and like 2 days later, my mom and her sister were in the house. My mom was in the living room, and my sister was in an adjacent bedroom. And uh, through the wall came like they described it as like a fireball that came through the wall
Huh.
and went through the hallway wall. And my aunt was in the bedroom, and she saw it pass through the hallway wall. And my mom was in the living room, and she saw it come out of the hallway wall through the living room and out through the window. They said it
Damn.
was this ball of light, or it seemed like it was fire.
Huh.
Damn.
And they both the great thing about it is that when they're sitting in the living room telling us the story, my aunt has that viewpoint from her angle from a different room, and my mom has a viewpoint from the living room, and they both see the same thing, but totally different viewpoints. but the action of the object went through the wall.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
yeah.
So they were telling me that that was, I guess, supposedly the aunt that had just passed away paying a visit. That's what they were assuming.
It very well could have been.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow.
And there was other things too. Like my mom said that once in a while she would see something in the house, like especially in the bathroom. She always talked about that she didn't like to go to that bathroom. I guess they had two bathrooms. One was outside and one was in the house, and she didn't like going there. And her mom, my grandma, would force her to go there anyway, and she would
Right.
resist because she said there were two glowing eyes that were inside the bathroom
Oh.
near the
Oh,
toilet
yeah.
seat.
Yeah,
She
that
said
would
she
be
would,
true.
yeah, she said she would see it there once in a while.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I'll go outside too.
Demons on the toilet.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Goodness.
I
But
know.
for a demon, that's a great place to hide.
And my mom has had experiences with what you would call a Hawaiian witch doctor here. It's a kahuna.
Oh wow.
And I remember she told me about a story that when she was sick, she had like a problem with her. I don't know. I think it was her leg, and there was like, I don't know if it was eczema or some kind of abrasion to her leg that was suddenly there,
Okay.
and then my grandparents were like, "Oh, we need to, cause we don't know what this is. We need to take her to see the kahuna." So, so they took her to this house, and my
Okay.
mom said that she was the only one allowed into the house, and the kahuna did like a prayer and did like this mixture in a bowl, and then applied it to her leg, and did some kind of prayer and wrapped it,
Yeah.
and then a day later, I think she said that the that whatever that mixture was had some urine in it, or had her urine in it, I think. And and then
Wow.
the day after, the thing was gone. It was completely healed, whatever it was that was on her.
Huh.
But um, my family on my mother's side, it's an old family, and they all are full 100% Hawaiian people, and they came from the island of Niihau, or I would say they're on both Niihau and Kauai. Niihau is a like a preserve. Like you can't go. Not a lot of people can go there. You have to get permission to go there.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they've kind of I think they kind of lightened the rules up a little. And I've heard tourists go there and take pictures and whatnot, but you can't stay all day.
Oh, okay.
And you can only be in a certain area. But that's where the family's from. So my grandfather was an old cowboy, and he worked on the Parker Ranch on the island of Kauai,
Okay.
and he lived on the island of Niihau. They had to have all their provisions shipped over to that island. It was very remote. But yeah, they're the lineage. We have books that show our lineage too. So there's some history too. We're not descendants of kings, but from what I heard, we're descendants of those that had helped to support the king. And one of my distant cousins is actually the caretaker of what's called a heiau. So a heiau is a sacred area.
Okay.
A lot of Hawaiian type religious things happen there. But also that location that my cousin takes care of was an old training area for what were called the Ali'is, and they were like Hawaiian warriors.
Okay.
And every now and then, I guess they would have an Olympic style event on that island on Kauai, and all the kings or princes or whatever you would call it of royalty
Royalty.
would
Sure.
everyone would come to that island to witness the Ali'is as they trained. and challenge each other in various Olympic type events.
Oh, wow.
And the property is huge. It's like many acres. And if you didn't know what it was there, you would think it was just an open field. But then we got a tour of it, and we could see the areas in detail, where the king sat,
Oh, wow.
the pedestal that was overgrown, but you could see that.
Sure.
You could see the spring well that was created. You could see the areas where the canoes would be brought in
Huh.
and docked, um, and the areas that certain types of physical challenges would take place.
It must have been quite the event and quite something to see, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
very spectacular. How cool would that be?
But anyway, I'm probably rambling, but
No, not at
these are
all.
things. These are things I can remember at this moment. There's probably others that'll probably pop in to my head after we're done.
No, it's been great listening to you. It really has. It's
It's kind of like
mesmerizing.
when you go shopping, right? Sometimes you can't remember what it is you needed to pick up until you actually drive back home, and then oh man, forgot the mustard.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Let me ask you a
Yeah, sure.
last question. So here in the States, we have this upright, hairy man that runs around in the woods
Hmm.
all over the lower 48 and Alaska. Have you got any type of hairy man or anything like that in Hawaii?
Like a Bigfoot?
The only thing that we have here, and it's not a Bigfoot, would be the Menehune. And
The
the
minimum.
Menehune, yeah, Menehunes are they're little little
Ah,
people. I mean, I don't know if they are. The description of them seem to be some type of almost like a elf-like creature, but it's
What do you
not.
call them things? That guy that we watched a couple episodes ago, Sandra?
pixies.
Pixies.
Yeah,
Pixies.
yeah. I don't think they're pixies. They're just short people, maybe about uh, a foot or 2 feet tall,
Oh, wow.
but they have magical properties to them too, as well. And you don't want to actually come in contact with
Okay.
any of the Menehune. See, Bent Tom's got some text.
G.I. Joe size.
Yeah,
Bent Tom says the Menehune are a mythical dwarf people in Hawaiian tradition who are said to live in the deep forests and hidden valleys of the Hawaiian Islands, hidden and far away from human settlements.
and I've heard of people experiencing
Thank you, Tom.
Menehune type people, or actually things that you're supposed to do in order to keep the Menehune away, and when they don't do it, then something happens to them. So, in certain parts of the island, like let's see, there's a spot on the island that when you drive through on this road that I don't think it used to be like back in the 60s and 70s, nobody would ever go there. Now
Yeah.
that the island's so damn populated, they probably turned it into a mini mall, for all I know. But
Right?
but at the time, a certain street that you drove on, and it said that if you didn't bring any kind of offering with you in the car as you drove through, they'd stop your car and they'd do stuff to you. So,
Ah. Ah.
and I think the offering was, I think it was raw pork. I think it was. You're supposed to have like a bundle of raw pork with you.
Hmm. Charles Green says that if you're building a wall, the Menehune will finish it overnight.
Yeah, that I'm not too sure, but I've heard of that though.
Ah.
I have heard of that. Yeah, the bad thing about me is that I hadn't kept up with a lot of the Hawaiian folklore that I learned back when I was younger. When you're a child growing up here, you get hit with a lot of that stuff, and you also hear stories from your family and friends.
Yeah. All the traditions and
Yeah.
superstitions and yeah.
And then when you move to California, all that kind of like dissipates, and You become
Yeah.
Californianized.
Right. Right. Understand that. Yeah. And in the 80s too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was still fun times though.
Oh, I bet. I
But
bet.
that's about all the stories that I have. Have you guys got some?
Oh, well,
Oh, you
no,
probably.
I'm sure the chat has seen you sitting there with that guitar, and I'm sure
Oh,
they're wondering about it and what's going to happen. So if you want
oh,
to
yeah.
tell us
Nothing's
about
gonna
that.
happen. No,
Um,
nothing's gonna happen. I just I told Sandra I was gonna try and play her. Well, actually, I was gonna do the X Files, the X Files melody to start the show. That's why I
yeah,
have the guitar on.
he actually was doing it backstage, and it was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Anyway, that
That's
was it. It was under 10 seconds, right?
yeah, that's fine. Charles Green says Brian's awesome, great stories. Yeah, those were great stories. I posted the link in the chat, so if
Thanks,
you have a
Charles.
ghost story or some strange tale or sighting of some sort that you want to tell us about, join the show.
So, you guys are gonna head off to another topic. You gotta have Sasquatch topic, right?
Have you got that picture in StreamYard of that print
Hang on.
I emailed you in the snow? I don't know if
Hey,
you have
Tony.
that
So,
loaded.
one thing I just remembered. I sent you that picture of Marty Friedman's pic.
Yeah.
Here's the. It's,
What's that?
this is Tony's footage of
Oh,
his Bigfoot footprints.
oh, cool. Wow, and the interesting thing about it is you can see the big toe dragging into the print before it actually sets foot.
Yeah, you can see the toe. It's crazy.
Right, the
Have you
toe.
got the still?
Trying to find it. Let me get rid of this one.
I could see that in the walking action, the toe would actually hit the snow first, to drag in, and then the foot would be would
Well,
set.
too, on that little video, how far in length each step is.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like 6.
Yeah, it's got a wide gate.
Yeah.
I
6
don't know
feet
what
at
I did with
least,
this
maybe
still.
7 feet.
It's probably on my other computer, Tony.
Yeah, no worries.
But I got the video of it here. I do have videos left from our last show before my vacation.
Oh, this is your first show ever since your vacation?
Yeah, this is the first
Okay.
show. And time is it 6:45? Oh, yeah, I got just a small announcement at the end of the show. Let's take a look at here's Haunted Theater in Tennessee. If the chat remembers.
To explore haunted Tennessee right now, everyone, on this Halloween, and we want to take you to the third oldest building in Knoxville, and what some say may possibly be the most haunted here in our city. Sit down, relax if you can, as we take you inside the Bijou Theater.
Thousands of people have walked these floors for more than 200 years.
With history, I guess, comes hauntings and residual spirits and energies.
If walls could talk, you would hear stories of people who lived and died here when it was a hotel. a brothel, even a Civil War hospital.
It did treat both sides of the war, so sadly a lot of people took their last breaths in this building, in these floors, and in these walls.
Courtney Bergmeyer with the Bijou says one of the most famous people to die here was General William Sanders. His story is commemorated on this plaque, but some might say his story is far from over.
People say that they catch glimpses of a soldier and the gleam of his buttons around the corner of his eye, so we have to assume that that's General Sanders keeping an eye on things.
And it seems like General Sanders may not be alone. A paranormal investigative team deemed the women's restroom, right off the gallery on the second floor, is the most haunted place in the building. Some workers, well, they tend to agree.
I was wearing a sweater, a cardigan, and as I was walking in, I felt two distinct tugs on the hem of my sweater. So I was here by myself, and I was new, and just kind of convinced myself that it was nothing, and it was all in my head. We have this theory that maybe it's a child, maybe it's a little kid or someone trying to get your attention.
And apparently the stage area at the Bijou is not off limits. An overnight security guard told workers here the spirits are a little overactive at night.
He heard footsteps all night long.
Oh,
like
no.
Walking along the rafters and the catwalk up above on stage.
And even performers have left the Bijou with some questions about movement in a closed-off balcony that hasn't been used in decades.
He came out to me and he said, "Is someone else in there?" And I was like, "Nope, I just got here. I literally just opened the door and let you in." And he was just like, "Well, I heard someone coughing."
Hi, Rick.
I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I heard someone coughing and I heard someone talking and it was coming from the back of the theater up high." And I was like, "Well, it sounds like you just encountered the Bijou ghost."
And while we know not everyone is a believer in spirits, it is pretty clear that some eerie things happen here at the Bijou. And maybe, just maybe, if you spend enough time here, you might experience something as well.
I think it's only natural that their energy exists here somewhere.
Of course.
People are drawn back to this space.
It's pretty theater.
All right, and speaking of that energy, we tried to get a read on it by using a few different ghost detecting apps, and there are a lot of them out there. Most of them say that you can read the energy or the electrical.
I wouldn't use nothing on a phone. Are you kidding me?
By using your phone. Now, I do want to point out, in the short time we tried this, we didn't see any peaks in energy, but if you want to try it for yourself, we have a link to some of the top-rated ghost detecting
All right.
apps.
Bijou Theater. If you're in the area, check it out. Or not. Tony would be in the area and steer clear because it's haunted. But
Correct.
what if Wolfgang was playing there?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
You'd have to go to a haunted theater if your absolute favorite band was playing there. You've probably already been in a haunted theater and didn't even know it.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I was busy learning the background music that they're playing during her.
I would go too, Lenny. Absolutely, I would.
That was cool. I don't know if I would ever want to go in a place like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
No.
You know what's kind of worrisome is that you go to a place that's got something like that that's happened before and it has a history like that. Who's to say that it's not going to like you and then hang out with you after you leave?
Yeah, you could. You very well.
That
You go
my
home with
point
a
precisely.
with an attachment. Yeah.
No attachments allowed.
you go home with a new friend.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh-uh.
No? Not cool.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh.
So,
I have another story actually.
oh,
If you
cool.
want me to tell you a quick one.
Absolutely.
So we had a little bit of an incident that happened here at our house. Like, so the fire department had to come here and check on something real quick. Nothing happened, which was good. But then when I was outside hanging out with the guys at the fire department, now the fire department building is across the street from my high school. Now at my high school, there's been some sightings there. A lot of people have said that they've seen ghosts or mists with people inside of the mist walking around in the halls of our school. Well, one of the main things that had been talked about in the past when I was actually going there, which is back in the 70s, right? I was at that high school from 77 to 80. Um, so
Okay.
the football field, the football field, the guy that took care of the grounds could never get grass to grow at a certain spot on the football field, and he
Okay.
didn't know why he couldn't get that to happen. That same thing happened after I left the high school. Come to find out, some people had done some research, and so on that hill, uh, in that neighborhood, there had been a huge battle amongst some Hawaiian warriors back in the old days, and they say that on that property there was a lot of people that were killed, and in this particular spot on the field, uh, they say that that spot is someplace where a lot of things had happened, and that's why you
Mm.
can't get any grass to grow in that
Wow.
particular area.
How
But
big is the spot?
oh, it's pretty big. It's like about it's like half of the football field.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
wow.
Um, anyway, so the firehouse is across the street. So I go to the guys who are standing in the driveway, right? And I ask the guys, "Hey, man, have you ever seen anything or have anything weird happen to you on in the firehouse?" And there's six. These guys are big. There's
Right.
six of them standing around me, and they go, "Oh, wow." They go, "Oh, funny thing why you brought that up." And so one of the guys said that something happened. They had an incident in the firehouse in the kitchen. Uh, something happened. I guess something was moved, and it wasn't supposed to be where it was. They said sometimes they have things missing, and then things show up again.
Mm.
So yeah, so that was the part that I was surprised about the most is when I brought it up. All of those guys looked at me and said, "Wow, how do you know about that?"
Oh shit.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's
I'm
crazy.
sure they have other stories, but the police chief, the fire chief at that moment didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
He
Right.
was spooked.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anyway, that's my other story.
Some cool stories. It's been a ball having you on, Brian.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, thanks. I didn't know I was gonna,
Yeah.
things started to pop in as we were
Yeah.
talking. So
We have 19 watching, 18 thumbs up. So thank you for that chat. You guys are amazing.
yeah, thanks a lot, everybody in the chat. Nelson, Lenny, Charles, Rick.
The link is
As
also
I
in the
scroll
chat.
over.
If you want to hop in, please hop in. Should I tell them
Looking
now
good.
or at the end of the show, Tony?
Tell him
Nightbot.
what?
All right. We'll wait.
Bent Tom. Thanks, Bent Tom,
Yeah.
for watching Nightbot. I always say hi to Nightbot. I know what Nightbot is, but
Thank you. Nightbot says hello back.
yeah.
Hey Tommy. Hey Rick Hefner.
Nightbot is me. I see
Right.
some new names in the chat. Forgotten Shadows. Open Woods. Although I think Open Woods have been here before. He said it's track of a small animal leaping through the snow. If it was walking, the belly would have dragged. Well, if it's 9 feet tall, belly's not going to really be dragging. At least that's what I think. Original Paramutant says, I think he meant to say great stories.
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you, Charles.
Whoops,
Thanks,
sorry.
man.
I took it on Dwight.
Dwight,
Great to
good
see you,
to
Brian.
see.
Dwight Bailey. And I would equally be impressed with a 9-foot tall rabbit. So would I.
That's a lot of stew.
Yep, that's a lot of carrots. So, would you go to Hawaii now that you know it's haunted, Tony?
Yeah. It's on my list anyway. I
I
would
would
go
too.
to those places.
Right.
I would say go to Oahu and also go to one of the outer islands to make it a complete experience. Uh, the population here is like boomed here, so it's not like it was in the old days where you could go somewhere and uh, be
What
comfortable
would
and have
be
a great experience at the beach where you'd be like the only person within the next, like now, like there's somebody right next to you, 5 feet away from you, whereas before you could be on the beach and then you wouldn't see another person till another 100 yards would be somebody else further down the beach,
Yeah,
and that would be in the
right.
middle of the day,
what is the
right?
best off-beaten path that tourists don't know about but should when they come there?
You know what? The off-beaten paths are very well known now because of the internet, right? People can find things that you're not supposed to.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact,
true.
I've seen photos.
That's true.
I've seen photos of my nephew. My nephew would go to these places where up in the mountains where back in the old days, I was part of the Sierra Club back in the old days, and so we used to go up hiking into places where you couldn't get to unless you got a permit or you got some kind of
Wow,
pass from the property owner or the government. And usually
right.
we could get into those remote areas,
The most
and
beautiful
no one,
places on earth.
yeah, no one would ever be up in those spots that we used to go to. Now
Yeah.
everybody's going up there. You got like 100 people walking on the trail, and it was never like that before. So Oahu, the island's very crowded. You can come here to kind of get that experience, but then go to one of the neighbor islands. I would suggest Kauai would be a good one.
What's a dish that you would recommend? You must have this. You must come and eat this when you come here.
Oh, there's a couple of places
I'm food motivated.
that give you they give you a Hawaiian plate. It's a lau lau plate. So lau lau is is a combination of fish and pork wrapped inside a taro leaf and steamed,
Mm.
and it comes with the various other dishes that go along with it as well. And I know a couple of places where you can get a good one for like really cheap because if you're in Waikiki, you're gonna spend about I don't know $100 or something like that for a meal like that. And I can send you someplace where you can get it for like $10, $12.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, Hack. Keith
yeah.
H. Hello.
We usually make our own because um, we do good food when we do it.
Very nice.
Yeah, you want to go there and eat what the locals eat and not
Right.
necessarily eat what the tourists eat.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so now there's places where I didn't even know existed. So I have to do my own research
Right.
and find these little holes in the walls. But I have to say, and this is another thing, I have a long-standing gripe about this, is that back in the 60s and 70s, you had a certain type of cuisine that was created by certain people, and those people were like the older generation, folks that were when I was younger, they were probably in their 50s and 60s, um, but the style in which they cooked really was something that doesn't exist today.
It was very
Uh,
traditional.
yeah, and the reason why I would think is because their style was very traditional and very rooted in their the way they were brought up, and also the supply chain has changed. You don't have the ingredients that you had back then. That
Right.
you it doesn't exist, and so there's replacement type supplies that people try to come up with the same dish, and then you go and try it, it just isn't hitting it. It
Yeah.
doesn't hit the spot because the
Doesn't taste
supply,
the same. Doesn't taste as
yeah,
good. Yeah.
the sauces, the gravy, the spices that were made back then, they're not available today. So that's the one thing. And I think that happens in various places
I
where you
think you're
have
right. I think it happens
food.
over everywhere over time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's a certain time where food was created and it was only good back then because those people did it. And you don't have those chefs and cooks like you do today.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my food gripe. So a lot of the foods that I used to like, I have to cook it myself.
Forgotten Shadows. We got probably time for this last question here. Brian talked about elf people of his area. What are local cryptids in your area and from? Oh, he's from Pennsylvania, supposedly home to the mythical Thunderbird. So, do you know of any other supernatural creatures in your area?
Aside from the Menihuni, I can't recall any of the other stories.
Okay.
But there are a lot actually. In fact, there are a lot.
Do your homework, chat. Start to Google it.
I had never heard of this. There's a lot that I had never heard of. There's once in a while there's a guy here on TV that does a segment where he talks about ancient Hawaiian stories. And those are pretty interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks for having me on, Sandra.
Thanks for being on. It's been a blast.
Brian.
And great to meet you guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's nice to meet you. Yeah.
on the viewer side, when I see you guys online and talking and getting into the conversations, to me, you guys are like online virtual rock stars, right?
Oh,
because you conduct yourselves in a certain way where it's like on camera, it works really well.
oh,
And
thank you.
guys,
Thank
and
you.
you stay on topic. You keep the whole show flowing.
Appreciate that.
You know, everybody like Hippie, all the folks that do this. You know, Laurie's Mishmash. Everybody that does it, you know, kind of, you know, it's like professional type of virtual TV.
Thank you.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I like that.
Guitar Hack's another one that does a great show.
He does. I don't know if he's on later or not, but that shouldn't stop you from checking out his channel anyways. Ha!
Right. Yeah, me too.
Make sure to check out tcake here in a little bit on Show Me Your Pick. I will be in the live chat with you. We are celebrating Quiet Riot, and tomorrow night, Halenville Live, Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss that either. Brian, once again, thanks for coming on. tcake.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Brian. Enjoyed it, dude. We'll do part 2, dude, for sure.
Yeah. All right. We got to go, guys. Any last words?
See ya.
All right. Hey, chat, I just want to say thank you for a great season. Squatch Squad Live will resume again sometime this fall. Bye for now.